About 3 weeks ago I made a video where I compared the heights of the C-3PO and Chewbacca in the scales of 3.75 and 6 inches. So I'm going to do the same with these Rogue One figures. So we've got the 3.75 K-2SO, Director Krennic and Deathtrooper. And then we've got the Black Series K-2SO, Krennic and Deathtrooper. And we're going to compare each character, so those two compared, Krennic and the Deathtrooper and Deathtrooper, and see if the height ratios are close or whatever. So here's the results from last time with the Chewbacca. So here's the 3.75 Chewbacca, and when you did the calculations you get the result of 0.724, and then with the Chewbacca and you get a result of 0.725. So that's the scale difference between the two, each of the characters. So this way I'm going to have to do 3 lots for those and 3 lots for those. But it's amazing how close these two characters are in scale with the 3.75s and the 6-inch figures. So I've got them about to do this, and you got to use the old calculator. So this one calculator, I did a video about this. It was I've used it since '93, '94, and it still works. So we'll be using that to do the calculations. When you get two numbers, you just divide the smaller number by the bigger number, and that gives you the ratio or whatever. And then you can compare between the scales. So we'll do that now. So in this next lot's going to have 3 sets of numbers, because this is for 2 figures. This is going to be, 2 characters. The next one's going to be for 3 lots. These are for the 3.75 figures. I've done K-2SO, he's 11.8 centimeters tall. Krennic is 9.8 centimeters tall. Deathtrooper is 10.7 centimeters tall. And then you divide, so this is the division between Krennic and K-2SO, Krennic and Deathtrooper, Deathtrooper and K-2SO. So I'll do the same sums for the 6-inch Black Series. These are the 3.75s. And they're 5 PRA figures. This Krennic's an amazing figure. Looks great. And you can see that. So in terms of height, we're going to take him as the standard and compare him and him, him and him, and then the Deathtrooper and the K-2SO. And these are the results. So I've done the 9.8, which is Krennic's height, divided by 11.8, which is K-2SO's height, and that gives us a ratio number of 0.83. Then the Krennic here, 9.8 again, with the 10.7 of the Deathtrooper, that gives us 0.915. And then the 10.7 of the Deathtrooper with the 11.8 centimeters of K-2SO, and that gives us 0.906. Yeah. So these two numbers are pretty close, the scale. So you've got the Krennic Death and the Death K-2SO there. And then we'll do the same with the 6-inch scale, and we'll see if we get any close matches with these numbers. And with the Black Series C-3PO and Last Jedi, we've got some really close matches. So we've got 0.724 there and 0.725 there. Between, what's making it hard is I'm doing 3 figures, whereas here I just did 2 figures in each size scale. So that's making things a bit more difficult. But if we follow the same with the Black Series figures, and then we'll be able to see if there's how close the scales are. Okay, I've done the measuring of the 6-inch Black Series and the 3.75 Rogue One figures. They're all match up, and so this is what I did with the first batch, which was the C-3PO and the Chewbacca, which is much easier because by doing 3 figures it makes it a lot more complicated. But with the first lot here, I got really close results. So I was going to think maybe we'll get the same pretty close results with these. Although not as close as this Chewbacca C-3PO result, it's still fairly close. So let's start with the Black Series. So the K-2SO is 17.9 centimeters. He was hard to measure. Krennic was 15.4 centimeters, and the Deathtrooper was 16.4 centimeters. And then the results you get when you measure is so you take the smaller number, divide it by the bigger number. So Krennic's 15.4 divided by the height of K-2SO and the height of the Deathtrooper. Then the height of the Deathtrooper divided by the and that gives you the results there. And then I've already done it for the 3.75 figures. So now what you're going to look for is how close these results match. So you've got, for Krennic K-2SO in both scales, you get the result of 0.83 in the 3.75 and 0.86 with the Black Series. Pretty close. Then with the Krennic and Deathtrooper in both scales, you get the result of 0.915 with the 3.75 and 0.93 which with the Black Series. Again, pretty close. I mean, not like with the Chewbacca and C-3PO, but still pretty close. And then with the Deathtrooper and K-2SO, you get the results of 0.906 in the 3.75 scale and 0.916 in the 6-inch Black Series. So they're quite close results. So what does this all mean? It means nothing really, but you know, it just shows you that the scales between the figures in certain, you know, like this Krennic and that Deathtrooper and this Deathtrooper and that Krennic there, I mean, you know, they're pretty much corresponding in the height differences in scale. So the figures are in scale with each other, is what I'm trying to say. And so that's quite interesting. And you know, I thought I'd make this video today because I've got a lot of new stuff to review, but I just, you know, the weather's not that great, the clocks went forward, so it's a bit, you know, I'm going to be really tired tomorrow. So the only thing I could do now is actually find the differences between the actual figures in, so the 3.75 Krennic against that, Deathtrooper against that one, K-2SO and that, and then see if the number that comes out is pretty similar. Okay, so I'll try that next. So this great calculator that's been working for a quarter of a century, never had its batteries changed. Amazing item, made in Italy. Bet you if it made in China it wouldn't last that long. Okay, so we've got the results now. So what I've done now is I've divided his height by the height of the 6-inch series Krennic, Deathtrooper and the K-2SOs, and these are the results. So this is K-2SO, he's at 3.75, he's 11.8 divided by 17.9 in the Black Series height, centimeters, gives you the result of 0.659. Krennic is 9.8 centimeters in the 3.75 divided by the 15.4 of the Black Series, gives you the result of 0.636. And then the Deathtrooper is 10.7 in the Black 3.75 divided by 16.4 centimeters in the Black Series equals 0.652. So we've got really close results, really. They're all 0.6 and then 0.63, 0.65, 0.65. So really close. Amazing. So it just shows you the very interesting results of dividing figures to find out if they're in scale with each other in their like 3.75 scale or the Black Series scale and so on, and you know, so quite interesting, I guess. And we'll have a good look at the figures, I think, next. These are the results. So you match these numbers here with those ones there, and then we just done these sums here. Okay, so there seems to be some sort of, you know, like between the figures in the terms of the scaling between the 6-inch and the 3.75, and then between the figures within a certain line. So these figures are pretty much in scale, and the 6-inch Black Series figures are pretty much in scale. according to all of this stuff. Okay, so after that interesting experiment and getting a headache, we can look at the figures now. So we've got the two Krennics. I like this one a lot, a 3.75, and this one's a good figure. If you go to TK Maxx, you can pick him up for a tenner. Great looking figure. Then you've got the basic 3.75 Deathtrooper, Black Series Deathtrooper. These are great figures, really detailed. K-2SO, I just picked him up recently, the 6-inch Black Series. I've been looking for this one for ages, really hard to find in the UK. Finally found him at TK Maxx for £12.99 and had to get him. This is the 3.75 great figure, K-2SO here. It's got a bit more articulation than your standard 3.75 figure. It's got a double-headed neck joint, but arms can move out at the shoulders as well. Great looking figure. And yeah, so these are really cool looking figures, and if you can find them cheap at TK Maxx, I suggest you pick them up. They've got the Deathtrooper as well, 6-inch. This figure's really good, it's great posability. So I mean, most Star Wars people, collectors, will have these figures now. So what I've done is just use some basic maths to do some sums to see whether the figures are in scale in terms of the 3.75s and the 6-inch lines, and then within, and we took it a little bit further today, we looked at how the scale difference between these two figures, and those two figures, and we actually got some quite close results there. So if you look at the results, you've got 0.65, 0.636 and 0.652. So that shows you they're pretty close. Okay, so sorry for boring you, but you know, just trying to do something different. Okay, so cheers, goodbye.